Hello, my name is Brianna, and today we will be making a bowl cozy. To make a bowl cozy, we'll be needing a few things. You will need scissors, fabric rotary cutter, measuring tool, marking tool, bobbin, thread, a sewing machine, 100% batting that's microwavable, and 100% cotton that is also microwavable and has no metals. Today I'm going to be cutting my fabric and batting both at 11 inch by 11 inch. However, if you have a smaller bowl and want a smaller bowl cozy, I would recommend the 10 inch by 10 inch. I wouldn't go any smaller than that though. And then the same with 12 inch by 12 inch. It's fairly big bowl cozy, so I wouldn't go over that unless you want a super big bowl. But whichever you choose, it may affect the later measurements. And then also for your thread and bobbin, they do not have to be the same color. I am using two different fabrics today, and I don't want red going on the black fabric because that might look funny. So I'm going to use a different color for my thread and bobbin, which will end up making the later steps a little more difficult. And these are both 100, everything here is 100% cotton and microwavable. Once you figure out how big you want your bowl cozy, make sure you cut out 2 of the batting and 2 of the fabric. Once you've cut everything out, what you're going to do is taking the wrong side, which means the side without the pattern. So this is the pretty side, the side with pattern, and this is the wrong side without. And so you're going to take the wrong side and match it up with your batting. And this can be just a rough estimate of what it kind of should look like, because you'll end up fixing it as you sew as well later on. But like that will be okay. And make sure you do the same thing for both of them, remembering wrong sides together. After you're done pairing your fabric with your batting, the wrong sides together, you're going to be sewing an X. So one corner to another corner, to this corner, to that corner. And it's going to be a little weird because, again, I have 2 different fabrics. So my bobbin has black thread, and my thread that I'm actually using for the big on top is going to be red. So this is going to be a little interesting for the next few steps if you're using 2 different colors. So I'm going to start with my red fabric pointing up, and I'm going to sew a few forward and then sew a few back just to make sure you lock in the stitch. You can also, if you aren't comfortable eyeing the X, you can also draw a line and just follow the line. So once I get to the end, I'm going to lock it in again. But now, instead of just going all the way forward cutting it, I usually like just going straight into the next piece. And because my bobbin has black, it's going to be the batting up this time. And you're just going to repeat these steps. Same as the first one, lock it in. And then just go, and then making sure you are sewing the right side. So you don't want to accidentally sew the red with the black. So just be mindful of which side you're sewing on. It's a little hard seeing it on this side, but if you flip it over, you can kind of see the line I sewed. And so what you're going to do is now, since you have this corner to that corner, you're now going to sew from this corner to the opposite corner for both. This is going to be a little hard to see, but after sewing the X, it should look something similar to this. Once you're done sewing, what you're going to do is you're going to fold your fabric in half, pretty sides together, and trying to line up the edges as much as you can. and trying to get the ending of the X to try and meet. And you're going to do that for both of them. And then you're going to take your ruler. And this is the spot that kind of varies depending on if you cut the 12-inch by 12-inch. Because I'm guessing it's around 3 inches of length and 1.5 inch up. But if you're doing the 10-inch or the 11-inch, it's going to be 2 inches. And make sure you mark it. So 2 inches and 1 inch up. And you're going to do that for every side. If you unfold after marking, it should look something similar to this because you're going to do it on every side. And then when it's folded, it's going to look something similar to this. Now the next step you're going to do is you're going to sew from one corner that you marked to another corner on all the corners. And once you're done with one side, you're just going to flip it and then sew from these dots. It's going to be a little harder on the second side because this side's already going to be pinched, so it's going to look a little funky. So it's just a little more difficult, but you're still just going to complete the same steps that you do for every side. Once you've sewed one side, it should look similar to this. And what you're going to do is you're going to fold it and then do the same thing on these sides. Once you're done sewing every corner, it should look something similar to this. After you're done sewing your corners, what you're going to do is you're going to cut on the side that isn't sewn, just so the bowl isn't bulky or anything. And you're just going to do that for every corner. And it doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to be right on it. It's just a little bit, so it's just not bulky. After cutting the corners, you're going to unfold both pieces. And what you're going to do is you're going to put pretty sides to pretty sides, because this is going to be the outside of your bowl. And you're going to kind of just line up the corners. When you're done lining everything up, what you're going to do is you're going to sew 1/4 from the edge all the way around. And wherever you start, you're going to leave about 1.5 inches unsewn so you can turn the bowl inside out. I usually like starting to sew on the line that we've already made. And then remember to do your lock-in stitch. When you get to a corner, there's two things you can do. You can kind of just go around it. Like that. Or whenever you get, again, to the sewn line, using the handrail that's located on the side, you're going to kind of put the needle in halfway, lift up the foot and rotate down, and then continue. Once you start getting to the end, you can kind of just eye it. So I'm saying that's probably good, maybe a few more. And then I'm going to lock the stitch in. Once you're done sewing, it should look something similar-ish to this right now. And so before you start to flip it over, you probably just want to go through and make sure all the stitching's done and over. So right here, I may want to go over it because I can't really see the fabric. But then just double checking every area, because you don't want the batting to show through on the opposite side. And you're just going to do this all the way around. After you're done, you're going to be cutting the corners. Just, again, so it's not bulky. You don't have to cut off a super big bulk or anything. Usually, I leave the side that you left unsewn. I usually leave that corner undone. You can kind of just snip it, like, just a little bit, not a lot. But then just getting rid of the corners. The next step is to turn the bowl cozy inside out. And what I usually like doing is I like to stick, making sure to grab inside the two pretty sides. Not the batting in the fabric, but the fabric and the fabric. So I like putting my 2 fingers in there, grabbing the opposite length, kind of just curling that up. And then just kind of pushing that through. And you're going to want to do this gently. Sometimes you kind of over sew, so it's a little harder. But again, just be very careful with it. So when you're done unfolding, it looks similar to this. So just try and find the corners and kind of just fluff them out a little, I guess. So it should look something similar to this right now. And so what you're going to do is you're going to find your unsewn area, kind of fold it over each other. And again, because I have 2 different threadings, I'm going to make sure the red side is up. And with this being said, I'm also going to start, so here's the end of my hole. I'm going to start sewing a little bit further, just to make sure like nothing comes undone. And you want to start from the inside of the fabric, not the out, because it's harder to start it and it doesn't look as pretty. Again, because my thread is on top, my red is also going to be on top. So we're going to, again, start a little back. And again, I would put this on the slowest settings as you can, because you don't want to break your needle or anything. So try and get that underneath. And it might be a little hard to get this. So again, about right there. So it's a little bit further than where my actual split is, and this is also going to be 1/4 from the edge. And then you're going to want to do the back lock. And this is where you want to be extremely careful, because this is the thickest part. And then your back lock. Of course, you can also use the same color, different color for each side. But congratulations, you have a bowl.